Hello, welcome back to PACE, or as we like to call it, Positive Attributes Contribute to Excellence. My name is Sasha Myers. I'm going to be leading the group on how to build a strong tower, where we talk about anxiety. Anxiety is a feeling you feel when you're with your friends. You might be at school, you might be out, doing something fun. And it's this feeling of kind of tightness that you get, or your heart racing, or maybe you sweat a little bit. These are all things that can happen during anxiety. We're going to talk a little bit about what's in control, what's out of your control, kind of triggers to anxiety, how you feel during your anxious moments, and how you can kind of cope with them a little bit better. So we're going to go over all these things. Please feel free to pause the video whenever you like to kind of do these activities, but we're going to go ahead and start with a little warm-up activity. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone. How are we doing today? Good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves.
I'm Savannah.
Hi, I'm Keely. Hi, I'm Dimitri.
And these are going to be our group members for today. So I just wanted to start with a little bit of a warm-up activity. So it's going to kind of go over the things that are in your control and outside of your control. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead. And how we start it is we're going to place our hand on the paper and just kind of trace around it. And we're just going to draw our little hand on here, or big hand, it's fine if it's either. When you're done, just let me know.
Done.
Close it up there at the bottom. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. Give it a nice little round. Perfect. So now, taking our hand, we're going to put things that are in our control. And this can be with our family, with our friends, with school, things like that. What's in your control is inside of the hand, and what's not in your control is outside of our hand. All right, so let's do that for a little bit. You guys need a few more minutes, or are you okay?
I'm okay.
We're all good? All right. So if you don't mind, if someone wants to just share one thing that is in your control and one thing that might be out of your control. If anyone wants to go
I'll
first.
go first.
Okay.
So one thing I have that is within my control base for anxiety is how I react to others. And then one thing that's outside of my control is how others react to me.
That's true. That is true. That is true. You can always do what you want to do, or you can always act the way you want to act in a situation. That's in your control, but you can't control other people. It's just not possible,
Mhm.
Good.
Okay, I put in my control studying to get a good grade.
That's good.
I can get a good grade by studying.
Mm-hmm.
And then something out of my control, a death or a family member getting sick.
That's true. That's true, because life happens, right?
Yeah.
And so we can't control that, but it's kind of, I like that you talked about your family and one thing and then school and the other, because those are both two things that can be very stressful in people's lives and make people anxious. So good. And I'm glad that, studying does help you feel more confident and less anxious about school.
Yes.
Good.
I put down for what I can control are my own emotions, and what I can't control is other emotions.
So you and kind of Savannah went for the same thing, where yours is emotions, but she was talking about behavior. But yeah, it's definitely, those are things that you can control, or things that are within you, you know what I mean, for the most part. And again, we just can't rely on others to act the way we want them to act, and we can control them, so that's good. And I guess I'll give you my two as well. So it's funny, I actually put time management as something that I can't control, and then time as something that I can't control at the same time. Because time management, I can try to manage my time the best I can, but at the end of the day, it's going to be, a day is 24 hours. I can't make it longer. I can't make it shorter to get all the things I need to get done. And sometimes that makes me anxious because I may have tried to manage my time the best I could, and I still didn't get the things done that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so you can't harp on yourself for it. That's just kind of how things go sometimes. So
I like that.
Prioritized.
Yeah, I like that.
you can prioritize the best you can, but at the end of the day, some things just might not end up working out the way because we don't have more than 24 hours. So good. I appreciate everyone's thoughts here.
Yeah, I thought it was a good warm up.
That's a great one. Thank you. Hello again. So now we're going to do some anxiety Jenga, or Jenga Anxiety Edition. So what we're going to do is each of these blocks has a color. They correspond to a question here that each group member is going to read based on which block they draw, obviously. It's going to either go along the lines of yellow being a trigger, blue being a coping kind of skill, or red being the feelings they have during anxious kind of times. Please feel free to pause the video at any time if you guys set this up. Go ahead and pause it, do your activity, or if you need to keep watching for some info, you're more than welcome. If it needs to be adapted, you could use the regular Jenga and just kind of put little colored stickers on each block so that way it corresponds to colors. And if one person just needs to read, I would say the group leader might be the person to do that. Just have them read each question based on whichever block is drawn. So, all right, if you're ready, we're ready. We're going to get started on this. So, Savannah, go ahead. You can go ahead and draw a block. Awesome. Now go ahead and put it back on top. Good. All right. I'm glad it didn't fall on the first one.
Okay, so my question is, what do you do to calm your nerves and heart rate when you're feeling anxious? So when I start to feel anxious, I really go into the mindfulness mindset, and I also practice some deep breathing, and I help relax myself and try to take myself out of the situation and know that it's only temporary. And that is how I help to calm myself.
That's good.
That's awesome. With that deep breathing too, it really does help with the heart rate and kind of alleviating that.
And it helps just bring you back into center, into yourself.
Good. That's really good that you do that. Kaylee, go ahead. Made it look easy.
What do you do to help with your anxious thoughts and feelings? Okay, kind of like the same thing that Savannah said. I like to do some deep breathing. I also like to, honestly, I like to go to the gym. It helps me clear my mind, and it helps me just, have a positive mindset and just think of the positives. And so, yeah, I either take some deep breaths if I'm starting to feel anxious, or I go to the gym just to clear my head.
And that's a good way to kind of deal with anxiety too. I know a lot of people that do go to the gym and kind of just forget about what's going on and just get absorbed into that kind of workout. So it's good, but make sure we don't, overdo it where, we can run into problems that way too. But that's really good. The deep breathing is always great. Something you can always use, even if you can't get to the gym,
Yeah.
All right, Demetria. Not feeling anxious now. We got this. Go for it.
You got it.
You got it. Making it look easy now. Actually making it look a little harder. Let's go. Let's go. Awesome. And now a question for you, Demetria.
You got the yellow. Trigger.
Do you start to feel anxious when you have to talk in front of people, and why? Yes, I do feel anxious when I have to talk in front of people. It just brings up like a lot of like, I don't know, just a butterfly feeling, and you're just thinking a lot about what to say and like the right thing to say. You just don't really want to say the wrong thing. So that's why it brings up anxiety.
I can feel that. I get anxious
Yeah.
the same way.
And I think a lot of people have that
Yeah.
feeling of not me, even if they say everything right, they still don't like the way they feel in talking in front of people, even some of the best speakers. So, I mean, that's good that you know that trigger. Do you feel those kind of symptoms when you do start? You said you feel butterflies in your stomach, but is there anything else you feel during that kind of moment?
Sometimes it's like a little tightening in the chest. It's kind of like, and like kind of like the little fuzziness in the brain, just trying to come up with what to say.
Good.
That's what usually comes up.
And is there anything you do that helps when you're in that moment, or do you kind of just tough it through and then think about it later?
Probably just tough it through and think about it later. Because I really have to kind of think about what to say beforehand, where I like had a few seconds to think about it beforehand. But
Right.
if I don't have that opportunity, then I just, have to roll with the punches.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it might be helpful to kind of have a 5-minute kind of mindfulness thing or a deep breathing kind of session before you speak. And it might help you. Might help you. It might not. I mean, things kind of help different people different ways. So, but it might be something to try maybe once or twice just to see if it does help. But I appreciate you sharing. I really do. Thank you all. Want to get one more, Savannah?
Okay.
Gosh. See?
Okay, a little too confident.
Yeah, you went for it on that one. But I mean, that's what happens in life too. Sometimes you go for it and things don't turn out the way you want. And it happens. I mean, there's no reason to be anxious about it. You went for it. There was no anxiety there. So
I think I had blue.
you had blue.
I had blue.
You didn't get it. You were close.
I was
Yeah,
close.
give me one anyways.
So this one says, what self-care practices do you utilize when you have anxiety? So aspects to improve your emotional or physical health. So what I really like to do is afterwards, after I've had that anxiety, I like to be able to stay to myself for a little bit because I'm kind of an introvert. So that's how I recharge my batteries. Either on my phone, watching different videos, scrolling through social media, things like that, mostly just to get my mind off of what happened. And then when I am in a better headspace, I can work through processing it.
I think you've
That's good.
got a very
Yeah.
methodical kind of plan that you set forth that works. And if it works, why change it? You know what I mean? So that's really good. I'm glad that you have such a good kind of understanding of your feelings, your emotions, your anxieties. Everyone kind of needs to get to that place. So that's good. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for sharing. Is there do you think like identifying these triggers and kind of stresses or feelings related to your anxiety is helpful?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think talking about it makes it come alive, and knowing that maybe it isn't that big of an issue, but when I'm just bottling it up and I think about it, I'm like, oh, it's big, but then talking about it out loud, I realize it's not that big. And then
Right.
talking about ways to cope with it is beneficial because it, helps me to not be so anxious.
For sure. I think we realize some of these things that we have anxiety about, other people do as well. Like I know I have an issue with speaking in front of people, like Demetria had brought up. And so, you just kind of realize, oh wow, I'm not alone in this, And that's super helpful to anyone kind of understanding they're not alone. So that's really good. I appreciate that. How do you feel about your responses? Like, do you guys feel like you got enough out? Like it was helpful to you, this activity?
Yeah, I feel like I was very like truthful about it and able to just be real about how I feel talking in front of people instead of just kind of like shying away from it.
Good, good. Did it make you feel stronger about your confidence in yourself about possibly speaking in front of people again sooner?
Yeah, and applying like some of the things that you all were talking about, maybe I could think about it that way instead of the way I was before.
Good.
Yeah, and I think just hearing that other people go through similar experiences and just knowing you have that camaraderie that you're not alone
Right,
helps too.
right. Did you guys feel kind of anxious or embarrassed when you were playing Jenga?
I did when I crashed the tower. That was kind of,
I felt anxious during it because I didn't want to be the one to knock it down.
Yeah.
But I would feel kind of like Demetria did, and they weren't budging. So when I was nervous or anxious to get one, they would finally.
Right, right. You did knock it over though. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But I mean, that, like I said earlier, that's what happens. That's life.
well, I didn't know the trick to just test it. I just
Yeah.
You
really
went
just
for
going
it.
with it.
That's the truth. And so, is there anything you guys kind of noticed about yourself or others during this kind of game?
I think that we're able to use our coping techniques that we've learned previously. So the deep breathing, the mindfulness, the positive self-talk, that we can use those in more than just one situation, and they're in our toolkit for whenever we do need them.
I agree.
Right, right. I think that's like kind of the biggest thing about this anxiety and kind of conflict and all these things we've discussed previously is they kind of do go hand in hand. We feel all these things all the time. We need to regulate our emotions from time to time, and our emotions might be due to anxiety. And so using all these techniques that we've kind of learned, like you said, Samantha, the mindfulness, the deep breathing, that positive self-talk too, when you're feeling anxious, is something great to utilize. And I think you guys kind of hit on the major points too. Like, these are, like, we all have different anxieties. We all have anxieties about certain things. Sometimes they're good. Most of the time, if they're going to affect you kind of day to day, that's not so good. And these are just things to kind of help with that, kind of getting you through the day and being able to do the things you want to do. And I think the major thing we hit on today is that we're not alone in this. Like, there are other people feeling the same kind of anxieties that we have, and that might affect how they're acting. And then we can't control that, but we can control how we react to our anxieties. We can control how we react to others. And so that's really good. I really think we've kind of learned a lot here from doing that warm-up activity where we control what we can't control, what we can't control, to this Jenga game, which I thought was a lot of fun. And it looked like you guys had some fun too.
Yeah.
And kind of learning about our anxieties, how to cope, kind of what brings them on. So I think we've kind of went through a lot of stuff today, and I really appreciate you guys sharing and being, available to do this.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a good time.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great day now.
You too.
Have a great day. Hello, I just wanted to say thank you for participating in the group. We've had a great time, but we do have some more questions, or we're gonna have more questions in the description of the video that you can use for your game at home or in your group setting. Thank you.